Set.
Speeding.
Speeding.
Speeding. Oh wait, no.
Striking.
No, rolling. Rolling. Speeding. Down.
Watch this.
Speed.
Striking. Oh, I messed it up, the exposure. It is January 8th. We are filming and shooting some stills for Moberi's sorbet launch today, which is very exciting. I'll shoot some B-roll, but let's get started. Hi, this is Editing Fed. I felt bad that I didn't really record anything that helpful with that. I was really obviously focusing on getting the shots and getting what we needed, but I figured to make up for it, I'd show you my Lightroom catalog and kind of the shots I took and why I decided to keep certain shots and how I got it from what we shot. You saw with the white background to the final image. If you haven't seen Vlog 1, that's where I designed the label, and then it gets printed and delivered in Vlog 2, and this is Vlog 3, where you can kind of see how it comes to life and the actual images we shot. Here we are with the first image that we captured, and I want to point something out to you. You'll see with this sorbet shot, it's a very soft image. This is the edited version. This is right out of camera. So you'll see I really just brightened it up. I want you to look at the shadows here. Pay attention to the shadows back here. This is the first image we shot where you see the globe mount. It's very soft. It covers the image really well, and is actually a really good shot, I think, of the sorbet. And actually, a lot of times is what I use for the website. The kind of clean background. It cuts well. It's separated from the background. Very soft. But for this look specifically, I was going for that booklet. What is it called? Like harsh magazine look. And so you'll see for this next one with goji berries in it, there's a lot more intense of a shadow. So here's the original image. That's right out of camera. And you'll see a bunch of little goji berries. We didn't end up keeping it or using it. I think it looks good. It just doesn't have a lot of context. Goji berries aren't that popular. We shot a few of these. We really used this one as a test. We figured adding a spoon would help, and it didn't help that much. Tried one more time with the spoon to see, and I think that looks pretty good. I think this is where we start to get into an area that I like. Again, this is all right out of camera, that harsh shadow. And the way I got that harsh shadow is, you'll see in some of the footage that I move the globe to light the background, and then I grab I'm using a Godox 80-200. It's like twice as powerful as a speed light, but it's basically just a big glorified speed light. And I put like a reflector on it that basically just channels the light forward. And that's really how you get that harsh shadow, is by channeling light forward. That isn't diffused. You get very harsh light. That harsh light causes a very harsh shadow. So the globe, really all that did is light the background. So this is the first shot that I like. And then we set up an overhead shot, do something very similar with the light hitting it harshly. So anyways, I go through the GIF. This is all the shots. We took quite a few. We made a few mistakes. The nice thing about stop motion is you'll see the 1-star photos are the ones that I didn't end up keeping. And so with stop motion is pretty nice because you can reshoot and fix a lot of it. And so we fixed a few mistakes we made. Okay, now we're at the shots that we used for everything, which I was really happy with, and I felt really comfortable with getting this harsh light. I usually don't shoot like this. I usually prefer soft light, but really want to kind of get out of my comfort zone there a little bit. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. This is edited. This is right out of camera. If you want to see here, it's nothing too crazy, just a little bit of exposure, bring down the shadows, a little bit of vibrant, or quite a bit of vibrance, 25. S-curve, bring your highlights up, lights up, darks down, shadows down. A little bit of luminance saturation adjustment, definitely some sharpening, definitely some masking too. You see the only sharpening I really want is on the actual sorbet pint, camera corrections, no grain, and the calibration for the lens. Yeah, really nothing too crazy with the white background. Center again. This is another GIF we shot. This is actually just the harsh light. And you'll notice again in the shot, I'll pull it up, but the harsh light is really shining down on the sorbet pint, right? That harsh light causes one light source and a very nice harsh shadow. That's great, but this is too drama. And so that's really the hard part with harsh light, is it causes too much drama. To counteract the drama and to really use as much of the light source as possible, because a lot of times light is just wasted if you are inefficient with the way you bounce the light. And so what I did is that harsh light is shining down on the sorbet pint, and then I have been holding a bounce card to the left of it. So when the light hits the sorbet and it hits the white paper background, it also bounces up, hits that, and then softens up all the shadows on the left and actually hits the background. And then the globe also, when that globe is on, also helps even out those shadows in the background. Because you'll see without it, it's very directional and will only hit the sorbet. So this is without the bounce card and without the globe, with the bounce card and with the globe. You see the difference there? This one was pretty cool. I was really happy with it, the way this turned out. This was actually an accident. I shot it a little too early and we ended up keeping it. This is what I wanted to get, but this looked really cool, so we kept it. Right out of camera. So you see the globe is in the shot. We started to get a little, not necessarily lazy, just get a little, maybe lazy you could say. There's a few things wrong here. You'll see the paper roll right there where the shadow actually starts to bend up. That I had to fix later and was pretty annoying. So ideally we would have brought everything forward so that shadow fell flat. So everything looked even. The light dome being there is not that big. That's pretty easy to get out. If you have any lens or gear questions, I guess I'll talk about that. Yeah, so I shot with a Sony A7R Mark III. I shot with the 35 for the overhead. Yeah, all the overhead is shot with the 35 Sigma Art 1.4. It's a great lens. All of these stacked shots where I needed a little bit more context and a little bit more space, but I didn't have that much room behind me because of the fridge. I shot with the 55. And all the product shots I did with the 85. Let's talk about settings. I'm at f8, and for a lot of these, I'm either at f8 or f7.1. And that's really because of the aperture, the sharpness covers the entire pint. I wanted to be able to cut it out easily. And the only real way, the best way to cut an item out when you're photoshopping something out of the background is to make sure that the aperture is closed enough so that it covers the entire object. So I'm at f8, ISO 80 to keep the room dark. You'll see I closed all the windows, but there was still some ambient light coming in. So to counteract that, the camera with no lights on was just pitch black, which is generally how you want that. So ISO 80 to help with that. And then my shutter speed, because I was on a tripod, was at 1/50. So this isn't what we ended up posting. So you'll see all this. What we ended up posting was these right here. So you'll see I have an artboard, a bunch of artboards. I started with this first one right here. Now, this was the goal all along. I took a while to make this, but I custom made this gradient to include some Moberi colors and some new, more modern colors for the label. And this was the original plan. Now, the only problem was that the gray looked really good. Like I really liked the way it looked. So I kept both to see what people thought, to see whether they liked the gray or they liked the color background. And we ended up doing a mixture of both, which is pretty cool. So I'll show you gray first because this is more like what you saw right out of the camera. So this is white background. You'll see just a very light gray. So this is the pint right out of camera or with the first edit. Added some brightness to it and then added some contrast. You see with the levels and brightness, that's literally about it. And then, the other thing I did too is with this pint, I redrew the shadow. I did select, color range, and I did shadows. Now, obviously you can't see it now because it's not selected, but I selected the shadow from the original image. And then I just redrew that. so that it had cleaner lines. And then the other good thing about that is you'll see here the shadow. This shadow is just a solid color with a mask. That way I can keep the shadow in all these the same color. Now let's go into the solo color. This one was a little bit more difficult because same thing. So shadow is layer mask to keep that same purple across the board. Now this is all the same. Let me take out everything I've done to it. Same brightness, adding levels to add a little bit more contrast. Now this is where a lot of people miss is you see how when you cut it out, you can really tell that I shot it on a white background because inevitably the light bounces onto the object. And so the nice thing about shooting on the color background or a similar color background to what you're going to end up editing it on is that all that light bounce stays on the object and you have to do a lot less work to kind of compensate for the editing. But it's not impossible, and white really allowed me the versatility to do light gray or color. If you did colored, you'd have the opposite problem where you have to remove all the color from the colored backdrop you use, and that's much more difficult to work with. So anyways, let me just show you how I took out that white shadow. So you'll see all I really did is I grabbed the background and then I made it, or I added a layer mask to it. And then I really just feathered in, you'll see right here, I feathered in the background onto the pint over where it was white. And then just brought down the opacity to 67%. That's all I did. And then shadow right under it. That's what I did for all of these. Same procedure, you just use the pen tool to cut it out, make the shadow the same color, add a little bit to the right. This is a little bit more difficult. I had to also fix the cap on this one. Yeah, oh, actually, let me show you this with a spoon. I almost forgot about it. So you'll see, I don't know if you remember the original one, the original sorbet top looked like this. So you'll see there's a few things wrong. One, the hue of the sorbet is the wrong color. And I fixed that in a second. That's pretty simple, just hue adjustment, you go to red. But the second thing is that's really gross. It's not as appealing to look at. So all I did is I duplicated that layer and I just brought it up. And then I made another layer where I just kind of filled in the rest. There's pretty sure a shadow layer too. Yeah, right there. Oh yeah, I added a shadow to the spoon, and then I fixed the ice, made it a little bit more even. That's really not that crazy. And then, yeah, made it a little bit brighter. There's that. I wanted to show you with these pints, you can really just grab it, make it bigger, and it'll kind of clean that up pretty easy. And then there's just a lot more variations for the website. I can show you that in a second. This is all for the website. And then this is for Instagram stories. While I was at it, I just made the Instagram stories. It's never been easier to make Moberi at home. And this is for Pinterest. So while I was at it, just made it vertical. But there it is. And I guess last but not least, JUICEBOX designed this website as well. We do a little bit of web development. So you'll see this little parallax of the sorbet existing by itself. So you'll see it's a little PNG. And then we made it inspired by Apple websites. We made this version. So same thing. This exists by itself. So does this to add that parallax effect. And then here it is at the end. Ingredients and nutrition, acai bowl recipes. Yeah. So this is kind of where they all ended up. So if you look at the menu, this is all really soft light, like the first image you saw. And you'll see here, instead of, it just takes up too much space to have that shadow laying down. So the nice thing about that soft shot that I took first is I can do a really soft shadow that doesn't take up a lot of room. And so that's usually where I keep, when I take these menu shots, I use a globe or I use a big softbox for soft light. And that's how I got all of these with a very subtle, you see a very subtle shadow there at the bottom. If you have any questions or you're curious about more of this behind the scenes stuff, if you like this, then let me know and I can do more of it on the vlogs. But usually I feel like it's, I don't know, I don't want it to turn into a tutorial channel. But if you have questions, ask me. Like I said, I do graphic design branding. But I was a professional photographer for 4 or 5 years and it's hard to kind of fight not shooting. And so it's really fun. I really like it. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Would really mean a lot. The goal is to be posting 2 to 3 times a month. So if you want to subscribe, that'd be awesome. If you want to like, that'd be even better. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Check Your Swing. And if you want to follow JUICEBOX on Instagram, we haven't launched the brand just yet. So you can follow us on Instagram at JUICEBOX Portland. If you want to email me, you can email me at federico@juiceboxcreative.com. But hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram. If not, have a good day. Peace.
Hey guys, welcome to my vlog.
Okay, that's rude. Get out of here.
Smash that like button.
Hello,
Hit
everybody.
that subscribe.
It is July 8th.
Show your mom.
Because Ben is distracting me.